Okay, so it's the same day, still August 25th, 2019. Before I throw these in the freezer, I just wanted to show you, and then I'm going to pick up tomorrow. I'm going to do those tomorrow. I'm just going to put those in the fridge, people. I'm tired. I do have the seeds in the oven on 180, and I'm just going to crunch them up a little bit, right? With a little bit of avocado oil and a little bit of salt, and you just spread them around like that, right? And then you come in every now and then, you just move everything around, shake your pan, add a little more salt if you like, right? I didn't add too much. And then I leave a fork like this for the first little while. If you're doing it in an oven, you want to release the air. Sorry. You want to be able to have the air, the moisture coming up off the whatever you're trying to dehydrate, all right, escaping. So this is what I do. I use a knife or a fork or whatever, right? Otherwise it just gets steamy in there. I just wanted to show you. Now this you wouldn't can, okay? You wouldn't take a jar, fill up your jar, and then try and can that. Because when things start to compact, it's harder for the heat to travel through. But if you compare this to an apple piece or a potato or something like that, hold on. Okay, like for example, I did the potatoes. Now when I took them out, they did not do that. Now mind you, these potatoes came out of the ground and pretty much were canned the next day or whatever it was. That's just the potato absorbing the liquid. So for potato soup, creamy potato soup with a can of squash is perfectly fine. Now it looks like I already did spaghetti squash. Here we go. It looks like I've already did a quart-sized jar. We'll just move this over here. And when it came out of the canner, it was more uniform in terms of shape, but just like the potatoes look like they came out in chunks, but as it's sitting, and because they're soft, they're coming together. But I'm okay with that because I would be only using this for soup and nothing more than soup. So what I would do in this case is I'd open up a jar of this, juice and all, potatoes, juice and all, and then I'd take one of these, which has butter in it and just a tad bit of salt, and I'd mix the three up together with the potato, canned potato, with some milk, or what is it called? Coconut milk, like I did with the last one, and it's really, really good. But you don't want to can it like this. You want to go like this. I just wanted to point that out before I threw this in the freezer. I'm going to freeze this now. Okay, so it's the next date, right? What is it? August 26, 2019. So it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Obviously, it's a slow start for the day. A little peaked, but besides that point, so I put that in the pot. I just, no water, nothing. I'm just going to start heating it up and start turning it, right? I mean, you could put a little bit of water in there if you wanted to, just to get it started. And I am not going to cook it for 3 minutes and bring it to a full boil, because you want it to hold shape just enough to get it going, right? Because it will cook fast, eh? So I would do it once. See, I'm turning it on now. Well, I'm not ready yet. And I'm getting my jars ready. I got my canner ready. I boiled my water. I'll get some salt. And then I'm going to do them in this size jar because I already have. So 90 minutes in a pressure canner, right? And then this is the stock. I haven't tasted it yet. Hold on a minute. Okay, so basically I'm showing you this for a reason, right? Because I'm being asked to have those leg braces on Amari for the next 18 to 20 years of his life, basically for at least 8 hours a day. They normally put it on at night because the children fall asleep and they're not noticeable of it. But they also say put it on at night because they're more active during the day. Amari is only going to be so active. So anyway, there's 16 hours in a day. They want it out of, sleeping is an 8-hour cycle. I don't want Amari like this in his sleep cycle where, he's being constricted, right? And quite possibly wake up and, he wants to move and he can't. And I have put Amari to bed and I have come back and I have found him in a fetal position, which sometimes people do. And we like to toss and turn. Yeah. We have dreams. I'm talking, please.
Do I have the tank?
You can't take my tank outside.
In my room, my playroom.
Well, you can wait till I'm done. It's my toy. Yeah. What are you doing?
He's waiting.
Oh, he's waiting. Hold on a minute. See my toy? That's my toy.
Just what do you mean?
Andre's just borrowing it.
When did you get it?
Don't you break my toy. Oh, when did I get it? Oh, I got it when he was a little boy.
Oh.
He was just like little, real little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Amari likes his bedtime. He likes to move around and play with his toys, and he shimmies and he puts his head on the pillow or whatever he does, or he curls up, or and when people sleep, they toss and turn. They have dreams, and I don't want him to have nightmares, people, where he can't move. So I'm choosing to do this during the day. And, it's okay. He's had it on since 2. And it's now 3:30. So that's an hour and a half. Now, I've had it on him during the day for like 5-6 hours, right? Before I attempt to take it off. And so far he's been pretty copacetic. What he doesn't like is when you unstrap the leg parts and then release the leg from the cast and it pinches in here up by his bottom. That makes him cry. So I try and release both straps like within, first a little bit on this side, then a little bit on this side, so that the tension between the two isn't so traumatic when you completely release the straps and then pull out the leg. Because he's touch sensitive. Hold on a minute. I was downstairs and outside in the shed, in my dusty shed, with the spiders and the cobwebs and shit, looking for this kind of stuff. He asked me for a heavy duty chisels, I have a chisel set, but it's more like woodworking. Whereas these ones, I don't know if he's even going to like these ones. Right? This is not... They're not that great. This one's really beat up. You can see it. Chisels is not something that I have a lot of. Well, work chisels anyway. And then there's this. This might work. 'Cause what he's doing is he's taking off vinyl that's been glued on over vinyl that's been glued on onto wood. And it's really hard to get off. So this is solid metal. So hopefully he'll be happy with this one. That's why I'm itchy, because I was in the shed outside with the spiders again. So anyway, I got 9 jars. I've got everything ready to go. Amari's happy. He's content. He's playing his piano, listening to cartoons. He's got one patch on his bad eye. No, on his good eye. It's on his good eye. So that hopefully the bad eye will start to use... he'll start using it more. Because that's all he's got to look out of. So by using it, he's exercising the muscle as it's pulling. Right? He may or may not go for surgery when he's around 4. It would only be for cosmetic reasons and nothing else, because it wouldn't change the 3D vision. We just got back from the eye doctor. This is what the eye doctor said. His eyes are healthy, but because one eye shut down, and he relies mostly on the right eye, which is the better eye. He relies on the left eye, right? The right eye shut down, but by covering the left eye, he starts to use the right eye again. It may or may not correct itself. I'm not sure. I don't know if it will. And then if we want, we can have him have eye surgery for cosmetic reasons so that he's not teased in school. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. Tisha, well, he's getting his eye surgery. I said, hold on, Tisha, just, relax. Maybe he'll just be a boy that grows up with a patch. Right? You know what I'm saying? He's got major hip surgery coming up. It's only a 40-minute surgery. But the thing is, they'll do eye surgery for Amari for cosmetic reasons, so he's not teased in school. But they're not going to cover, his circumcision to prevent future potential sexual abuse against his persons by his caregivers, however he comes into contact with them, right? Simply because, you can't have one and the other, right? It's either, if it's not medical, because it's not medical for circumcision. I think it's important to have him done. Andre wants to get done, because Andre's having issues. Only he's scared. And I tell him, well, it's better to have it done when you're little than when you're older. Right? It's hard on men when they have to do stuff like that later on in life. So anyway, I don't have to worry about eye surgery for a couple of years. But in terms of these leg braces, I'm not doing it at night. I want Amari to have free dreams, to be able to move freely in his bed and be comfortable as he sleeps. If he wants to curl up into a fetal position, he can do that. If he wants to lay back on his back, and lay on his little head on a pillow or whatever he does in there, he can do that too, right? And I just wanted to show you that I am using these leg braces. And what I did notice from the moment we took off the leg braces the first time that we used them, and I pointed this out to Tisha, his legs automatically went they just spread open like this. Spread open. Where before he was like this, put him in the leg brace one time, and then his legs were like this, then they went like this. So she did say, though, if you get the feet coming together with the legs like that, it's okay. It's pushing that hip bone into the socket. But the big thing is also too, and I haven't been thinking about this, and once I get caught up with this stuff, I really do need to think about this and bring in the foods that can build cartilage, because once the cartilage is gone, that's when it becomes a real problem. So anyway, I'm gonna do this now, people. And you see, he moves himself. How did you move over there? How did you get over there? You're moving. Oh, you think it's funny? Amari! Amari's moving. Yeah, are you sneaky, huh? Are you sneaky? Yes. So you see, he's not struggling in his sleep, people. He's happy, he's playing. He's actually flipped himself over with that one time. But, you know, he's copacetic with it. Right? You happy? Yeah? You got a big smile on your face. Does this one? I don't think this one works. Nana has to get some batteries for it. Oh, it does. There you go. You knew. Yeah, you knew it was working. If you notice, he went for it, eh? Good boy. You figured that one out all by yourself. You remembered. Yes, you did. Okay. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I should have blanched it for 3 minutes. I didn't want to boil water, blanch it. And if I was going to blanch it, I should have blanched it just for 1 minute versus putting it into a pot with no water and then trying to stir it around, which I'm doing. As long as you keep stirring it every couple of minutes, because it's squash, it's going to cook fast. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so as you can see, right, I've just been turning it over now for what, a minute or two or whatever. It's starting to, I put just a ladle full of water in there to get it going. Now, so I am going to, because the water is hot, I'm just going to start putting these in here, filling up with water, and the water is going to cook the squash, so it's going to, you'll see, hold on. So basically you work pretty fast, okay? I turned off the heat. All I wanted to do was just semi-blanch it, I guess you could say. It wasn't really considered a real blanch, right? Because, you know, these are not going to hold their shape as nicely as we'd like them to, right? But some of these chunks are a little bigger than a 1 inch, so as they cook, they're going to dissolve a bit. But the heat is still going to be able to go through, right? Because it's not going to mush up until after it's in storage. Right? Because I've already canned a couple jars, eh? And they came out fine. So, as long as you do it this way, you'll be okay. And I'm just using it for soups. Right? Maybe gravy, I don't know. Maybe gravy, I don't know about gravy, but definitely soups. And then after this, I'm going to get into those apples. I'm going to peel them, cook them, and then put them in the fridge and deal with the apples tomorrow. And then I get to go out and hunt for other things in my yard. Okay, so now, before I do any of that, we do water, and then you top off. I haven't put the salt in yet. So, let me do the salt and water. Hold on. Okay, so basically, these squash didn't cost me anything. They were the seeds from last year. Right? And, you know, my landlady, she came back And she got some extra little squash that she likes. I don't know, something like 3 of them. So she got like, and then she got this other little one. So she got like 10 squash, people. And the weather, let me tell you something. The weather for this growing season was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So, you know, I'm really lucky to get as many squash as I did for just a few seeds. It's kind of like that Jack and the Beanstalk, you know. So anyway, what you do is you get the majority of your squash in the jar. And because I barely heated them up in the pot, right, they're still quite firm, which means they're going to hold up for that 90 minutes, right? And then, you know, I mean, common sense, right? But if you didn't ever do this before and you want to try, you can see there's some loose spots in there. You can see there's still room, right? So now that you got your basic jars, you go in there and you just start topping it off, right? And you want the liquid to be about 1 inch from the rim before you seal the jar with the lids, right? So let me do that. Hold on. Okay, so out of 1 ladle of water with all that squash, that's what's left, and I'm just going to pour it into this jar and fill up this jar. And as you can see, right, I topped off. Yeah, it's still, this is still firm, right? Oh, freaking hornets. See, when you put in the water, it starts to cook because the water is hot. And then you could actually fit in another squash, but I'm running out, so I'm just going to make it like this, people. Hold on. Okay. So now I'm just screwing on the lids, right? Real fast. Right? Finger tight. That's all. Otherwise your jars will crack. Finger tight. Make sure that the water in your canner is heating up, getting hot, because these jars are hot, right? Because I used hot water that I had already pre-boiled. Right? And once you get to this point and you're almost done, you get a really strong sense of satisfaction, because that's 8 jars of soup coming, right? That you can get creative with. Oh, there's an old school lid for that old school jar that I have, right? And because this is a double canner, remember I said you might want to get yourself a double canner if you don't have one, because if you've got that extra jar like I do, you can stack and pack. Right? I can still pick these up. Yep. So now you start putting them in there. You're not going to get no jars cracking hot on hot. Right? No reactions. Oh, made a mistake. I made a mistake, people. Oh, I need to break up a jar. That's because I got too many things on my mind. Right. That's 7 jars. Here's the odd guy out. So what I could do, make it easy on myself, I think it might work like this. I'm not sure. Maybe not. These ones probably would be, yeah. If I was using these ones would be good. So I'm not stressing myself out over it. I can simply put that in the fridge, or I can can it later if I want. I can go get more squash and make up 2 or 3 more jars, or I could go get potatoes. Well, potatoes don't need 90 minutes. This squash does. Anyway, I want to get on with this. So we've got 7 jars anyway. I don't know what I was thinking. What was I thinking? If I would have put that in there, it would be like that. Do you see? But that's okay. Hold on. Okay, so I think my battery is getting low again. I thought it was over an hour, but I don't know. Anyway, I just went out to the garden and I just got these little ones, right? So if this is going to go for 90 minutes, that's 1.5 hours, right? I'm going to get these ready to do the same thing and get another, what, maybe 2, 3 more jars? It depends, right? And then, of course, I'll probably cook up these peels too. Why not? And you know, if you don't have like a plot of land to grow these things, you can grow them in a planter pot, providing that you give them water all the time, because they like a lot of water, and make sure you give them, you know, a little bit of nutrients. So, you know, don't feel that you can't have this if you don't have a garden plot, because you can just go get yourself a nice planter pot, you know, fair good size, put some dirt in there, get yourself a few seeds, start the seeds in the house, right? So they're, you know, they don't freeze coming into spring, and plant them in the ground and just give them some sun, and even if you get little ones, right? Hold on. Okay, as you can see, that's what I'm wasting. I'm going to stew this up like I did after it's all canned, right? This is enough for what, 3 or 4 more jars anyway. I'll be happy with that. This, I'm going to end up taking out the carrots. I'm going to scrape off the squash off the rind. I'm going to blend it in a little blender with the onion as well, whatever's in there. And then I'm going to mix it back into the broth, and then I'm going to freeze it. Hold on. Okay, so moving along here quickly. I don't know if my battery's going to die or not, but so what I'm doing here, people, I'm not wasting anything. Okay, I'm just going to mash this up, you see, because that's already been stewed, right? So mash it up. This is already all mashed. Now, what I did is I took a spoon, and I basically just, oops, sorry, wandering eye. I just basically scraped off, you know, where I could. That's how much I got. That's a small squash right there in it by itself, right? And no, just double check there's no skin, right? And then I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to mash up this, and I'm going to put it in there and stir it around. It's very mild tasting. It tastes very mild. It does taste like squash. It's sweet, right? And hold on. Okay, believe it or not, it is so good. It doesn't have any salt, doesn't have any garlic, but it's so tasty, right? You put a little bit of butter in there, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then if you want, you can have either corn with it or peas. You could put a little bit of rice in there. You can do whatever you want, but I'm not making soup right now, so I'm going to freeze this. But do you see that? Look at that, people. That is so good. So, so good. I highly recommend it. Okay, so this is the one that I did before. You can see how it's starting to settle, right? And over time, it's going to do that more and more and more. It's just going to break up. Here, this came out of the canner. I don't want to touch it because it's still hot. But you can see it's fairly loose, right? You can see that. So it's not squished, compact, tight. So it will be okay, right? And if it does that over a period of time, that's okay, because the jar is sealed. You take off your ring after, so if it pops, it will shift and you will know not to eat it. Now I'm just finishing up this last little batch here. I'm doing it the same way. I just put a little ladle of water in there. I'm just heating it up slightly, right? An hour and a half is a long time for this to be in a pressure canner, so you don't want it too you know, overcooked, right? I'm not worried about the color. It's fine. Right? Hold on. Okay, so I'm getting tired here. Right? Well, I've been tired, but... So anyway, I got court tomorrow morning. So when you go shopping for used jars, right? You know, hit up the thrift stores, places like that, right? Value Village is a good one. And, you know, your local thrift stores. You can look on your local Facebook market for your area. You'd be surprised what you might find. And, but when you're like in thrift stores and, whoa, places like that, when you're buying jars, run your finger, if you don't know, right? Because not everybody knows, you know. Oh God, what did I do? I got 2 jars stuck in there. Oh man, how did that happen? May have wasted a jar here. Shouldn't do that, it should pop out. Anyway, take your finger and just run it along the jar when you're jar shopping for used jars. And if you feel a crack, the only thing that would be good for is, you know, storing something on your cupboard, something like that. But it wouldn't be good for canning. So, you know, by all means, shop around for used jars, because when you start doing this, you go through a lot of jars. Like today, just what I've done here. So I did 8, 9, 10, 11 squash of 1 quart, right? Now that's it. There's a few little ones growing, but the plants are dying, so I'm not too worried about it. You know, my rent time is coming pretty soon, right? Probably end up giving them to my landlady. Maybe keep 1 or so, 2 for myself. Doesn't really matter. It's okay. I got other things I have to do, right? But she likes it, and her squash plants were big and beautiful, but they didn't produce hardly any squash. Where mine were scraggly looking, and I got something like 25 squash. So some of them were quite big, right? Some of the water leaked out of some of these jars, escaped, you know, with the steam. That happens. That one that I had earlier that couldn't fit in the canner, it's in there now. It's going in with these 3. Right? Hot. So, it goes in this color, light green, and it comes out this color. That's okay. Right? It's just for soup, like I said. I'm just trying it this year. I'm okay with it. I feel comfortable with it because I wasn't packing it in like mush. My mush is in the freezer. I still have to do these other ones, but I'm tired, so I'm not picking these out tonight. I'll pick them out tomorrow, and I'll bake that little bit tomorrow, and maybe make a soup with that later. Right? You've seen what I did with that broth. I have some more peels to do, so we'll probably do that tomorrow. I'll just put it in the fridge for tonight. Never did get the apples done, right? But that's okay. There's always tomorrow, right? And now all I have to worry about is some rhubarb. A few more jars, that's easy. A few jars of potatoes, just for fun, just to see, right? And, yeah, I'm going to upload this video now, right? This is going to go for another 90 minutes. Can you see? That's what I did first batch. Right, that's what I did before. Almost the same color. Right? Maybe I blanched those ones. These ones you seen what I did in the pot. You see that they're holding their shape. They're moving around in there, right? So because of that, the heat traveled through it, so you don't have to worry about not canning it properly, right? If it was all mushed down in the jar, oh yes, that's what I wanted to show you. Hold on. And you have to remember, this all came just from a couple of seeds. A handful, not even a handful of seeds, a few plants, right? This is that one that I baked in the oven with some butter. And boy, oh boy, this is so tasty. That's the inside with the seeds that I took out the seeds. And do you see how nicely that freezes? So you can put that with soup, right? You can make gravy with it, whatever you want, right? And then, of course, I'm going to have my 1 pint-sized jars, more than likely. Or I might even do quart-sized jars and freeze them with that stock that I made. Probably 1 pint-sized jars. With the carrot mashed in, with the, I scraped off the squash and that onion. And it's really tasty. You just have to add a little more to make it even more tasty. So, all that for just maybe, well, we'll say no more than five or six plants of squash that we're producing for me. And then there's 4 more jars in there. So I'm going to end this video, people. I'm exhausted.